Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome back. It's been a pretty intense few days, hasn't it? We had the episode 200 World Tour, we had episode 201, How Did We Get Here, and that massive 202 questions video yesterday. Thank you guys so much for the support on those episodes. It really means a lot that you guys are turning up to watch this stuff, and to be honest, I'm a little tired. I've been spending so much time and putting so much effort into videos recently, and it really feels like it is paying off, but I've been up late editing the last few episodes, so I feel like taking it a little bit easy today, doing something a bit fun, doing something even a little bit silly. Today, I have a kind of fun project in mind, and it's going to involve these guys, actually, a little bit, or rather, these things, the eggs that I'm now picking up from everywhere in the floor. I should probably take a look in the dispenser in there and see if we can get a few more eggs from that. I've got a few in the cupboard here, but we're going to have a go today at kind of a silly project, but kind of a spectacular one at the same time. We are going to be making the world's steepest staircase, at least as far as Minecraft is concerned. And this kind of ties into an episode of my podcast. I make a podcast every week called The Spawn Chunks, where myself and my friend Joel talk about Minecraft. I usually advertise it at the end of every video, but some of you guys may not watch that far. So just so you're aware, thespawnchunks.com is where you can find that, or anywhere that you normally listen to podcasts. Anyway, me and Joel just celebrated the first anniversary of the podcast, kind of the podcast's first birthday, and we were talking a lot about cake. And I brought up the fact that if you stack cake vertically and you eat a bunch of the slices of cake, you can actually kind of use it like a staircase that horses can run up directly. It's kind of a weird trick, and I'll have to show it to you towards the end of this video. You might actually have seen a kind of sneak peek of this in the 202 questions video, where I had a cake staircase built next to the giant that I spawned in. And I'm actually going to use it in my world, weirdly enough. I think what I want to do is put a cake staircase behind the sheep farm that's going to take me all the way up to the top there where the ice farm is. And now, of course, it's not really going to be necessary as far as the world goes, because I could just fly up there with a Elytra if I wanted to. But sometimes I don't want to waste the fireworks. And also, the area over here, this kind of little rainbow sheep farm, is so colorful and so kind of that it doesn't quite keep in the theme of the medieval side of things with everything else around here, that I feel like a cake staircase behind this is not going to look too out of place, really. But this episode is going to involve making a lot of cake, so I'll need to be able to milk some cows. We'll probably need to get rid of one of the buckets of water. I should probably put the bucket of lava away as well, actually. We're going to need the usual stuff for the cake recipe. We need 3 buckets of milk, sugar, eggs, and wheat. Luckily for me, we have plenty of wheat around here, and we are farming sugar over at the witch farm, so those witches' sugar is actually going to come in very handy for this. I feel like the big bottleneck is going to be the eggs, actually, so we'll probably come up with some sort of solution for that. I might just put a few chickens on hoppers and let them lay for a little while I make a bunch of cake, because we're going to need a lot of cake for this. I think that mountain is probably, I'd estimate, about 30 blocks high or so. Like, from here to the top of there, it's probably about Y94, so I'd say at least 30 blocks. So I think we're going to need a great deal of cake in order to pull this off. We're talking at least 2 stacks of cake if we want to have it be a wide enough staircase that a horse is going to be able to run up it. But when you see this in action, it will be something quite special, I think. So back over here at the witch farm, my poor neglected witch farm that I left out of the tour video. Yes, here it is. We've got a lot of sugar, and I'll bring a few stacks of this over. We're really not going to need all that much, but I'll bring 6 stacks so that hopefully we can make a few stacks of cake. Sounds like the shifting floor is certainly going, doesn't it? But I think I'm going to have to get out of the habit of flying around quite so much if I want to wear down my hunger often enough. I guess we could do my usual tactic of just like slamming myself into the sides of buildings and mountains and that kind of stuff to wear down the hunger a little bit, but we're going to be needing to eat, oh, I don't even know how many slices of cake. It's going to be a lot of slices of cake, but let's make a cake and I'll show you what I mean here. I've actually made 7 cakes because 7 is actually going to be quite an important number for this little staircase. Actually going to be quite a large staircase. Let's start it. I think we're going to go here, and we're going to build a platform out from the back of the sheep farm here to give ourselves somewhere that the horse can ride up onto. Once we get to here, though, that's when things are really going to kick off, because along the back here we are going to have a stack of cake, and for each cake that we lay on top of one another, we're going to eat 1 slice. Ooh, that's a concern. I hadn't realized that the cakes are actually rotational. Oh, okay, we're not going to be able to do it here then. We might have to do that somewhere else. But yeah, like, you can't eat a slice of cake from a specific side. It always goes from one side. Which way is that facing? Okay, cakes face east. Good to know. I'm going to have to break these, unfortunately, and even though I'm breaking them with Silk Touch, we don't get any cake back. Sad times. I guess that means we're going to make our staircase over here then. Maybe it can start even lower. Maybe it will end up starting down here, and then we'll be able to do this properly, because I really want this to be a very, very silly staircase. So I think we're actually going to end up starting the staircase here. We'll build some stuff on the surround of it as well. But yeah, I might remodel some of the landscape here so that we can get around here with the horse. I just want to build this somewhere because I really like this concept. I think it's quite fun. There we go. That's one slice of that cake and one slice of that cake. We need to take out a slice for each layer that we go up. And once you've done that, it actually creates something of a staircase. There we go. We can eat 3 slices. Now we got 1 from there, 2 from that one. And if we jump up this, you can actually leap up those like they are stairs. The coolest thing about this is that the horse will be able to run directly up it, because horses can run over the top of single blocks. They can step up single blocks, which means that if we place a tower of cakes with an additional slice eaten out of the cake each time you go up a block, you can create a staircase that will bring you up 7 blocks for every block you travel sideways, if that makes sense. So every block you move forward, you go up 7 blocks, which means you can get to the top of this mountain very, very quickly. Thankfully, nothing is going to come along and eat the cake, so the cake will stay there. It's not like it's going to get stomped on by zombies or anything like that. I'm pretty sure nothing destroys cake. Maybe Ravagers would or something like that, but I'm not going to let any Ravagers anywhere near this mountain. And what we're going to end up with is a huge tower of cake that will lead us to the ice farm. And I don't know, maybe we can justify that by the fact the cakes have icing or something like that. I'm not really sure. I just want to use a cake tower, okay, guys? Give me a break. But as you can see, this is going to be quite a labor-intensive process because I have to milk a cow each time, I have to get the eggs from the chickens, I have to get a whole lot of resources, and then I also have to get very, very hungry if I'm going to be eating up to 6 slices of this cake each time. So yeah, we're going to need to do a lot of work here, and I'm going to do a fair amount of that off camera, because I'm sure you guys don't want to have an entire episode of me just waffling while I'm eating cake. But the Tower of Cake is already in progress. All I need to do is take a little bit of damage from these mobs occasionally, and I should get plenty hungry enough that I need to eat regularly. I can probably go out and do a bit of resource mining as well, do a lot of baking, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Hey folks, welcome back, and as is of course traditional, the Wandering Trader has showed up to decide if he likes what I've done, and right now, this is looking a little bit ridiculous. Like, from a distance, it looks a little bit like a sort of weird diving board, I guess, except a diving board onto this mountain over here, and the design of this is not done, and I'm thinking about even expanding the contours of this mountain a little bit so they wrap around this and hide it a little bit from the view from the farmhouse, because much like the Iron Tower over there, it is another one of those things that just pops out of the landscape, except this one, the design of it is relatively slim and it doesn't really feel like a building as such. We could always build something around it, I guess, but that's really not the purpose. The purpose is to be an enormous cake stairway, or a stair cake, if you like, instead of a staircase, because what we've got here is a whole lot of cake. And by the way, I ended up buying a lot of these cakes from my farmer villagers who still sell a cake for a single emerald. I expect a lot of people are queuing up a comment to let me know that there are farmers who will trade you cake, and that is a pretty solid shout, to be honest. So I'm going to demonstrate exactly how this works, and obviously right now we're going to have to incorporate a little bit of infrastructure around here so that the horse can actually get to this thing in the first place. I don't expect I will ever really use this in the position that it's in right now, but it's just kind of a fun demonstration of how high up you can get. And if you imagine something like this maybe happening in the Nether, if you wanted to set up like a really fast elevator, considering that bubble elevators do not work in the Nether. We'll take another look at elevators, by the way, in future, because there are some other really good designs that you can get to work in the Nether. But this is faster than a ladder, faster than scaffolding. It's really quite something. When you see me zipping up this on the horse, you will understand quite why I've been so excited to build this incredibly frivolous looking thing. To be honest, though, from a distance, it really doesn't look like it's made of cake unless you zoom in and you're like, oh yeah, that's actually icing on each of those. But without further ado, I'm going to step up to the plate here. We are at Y68, plus a little bit extra because I'm on the horse right now. Watch what happens as I ride up this thing on the horse, because it really goes. That is a lot of vertical travel happening both very fast and in a pretty compact area. We have 5 flights of cake here, all of which takes up a single block in terms of like the depth of the staircase, but is traveling up 7 blocks each time, and that is something pretty special. Now, the problem, of course, being that if you ride your horse off this, the horse is going to kind of carry itself over a little bit, and it takes a fair amount of fall damage on the way down. But if we do this in third person, I can probably just, like, sneak my way backwards off this thing nice and carefully, and, of course, you can feed a horse a little bit of wheat to help it recover its health after that. But I'll show you that again in third person so you can see quite how ridiculous this looks. Yeah, that's a horse ladder in action there, folks. And now, of course, I kind of want to design a safe way down from this. So because this looks like a diving board, I was thinking we should maybe add a kind of like horse water slide to get it back down from here, because otherwise we're just going to leave it wandering around up here while we go and attend to the ice farm, and the horse is going to probably just walk off the mountainside, and we don't really want that to happen. This horse is already wandering off to figure out what it makes of the ice farm, so what we're going to do is set up a kind of tube down here that's going to feed the horse into a water stream. That's going to allow it to successfully make its way back down to the bottom if we want to just drop the horse off here and then fly down from the ice farm with our elytra. We're going to have to make sure we light this up as well, because any water sources in here, once they're up on the mountain above a certain elevation, they have the potential to freeze. But if you wanted to, you could just create a safe fall for your horse by digging this out all the way down to the bottom where you wanted the horse to land, and just setting up a water stream at the bottom of that, because the horse isn't going to take any full damage if it drops into a single block of water in much the same way that players do not. So it'll be perfectly safe to do that with a horse if you want to. My vision for this, though, is for something a little bit more like a water slide ride for the horse. So you end up having a water bucket in some of the corners here that's going to direct it down into this little trench, and then that's going to propel the horse down to the next level, and it's going to kind of spiral around in a kind of water park style way until the horse ends up at the bottom of the kind of cliff that we've just had it scale thanks to all of the cake that we've placed today. Luckily, we'll be able to get a few water sources out of the ice blocks that we're farming up here, so I might as well clear out the ice farm, or at least half of it, so that I can get enough water to achieve what I want to achieve here. Alright, so the pattern I've decided on for our little horsey water ride is just going to be a kind of descending spiral staircase with 2x2 areas for each step, and in each corner here we can just place an ice block and break it, and that's going to factor in a little bit when we have this whole thing flowing as it should be. So let's break one of those on each of these outside corners, and we should see all of the water flow together once we connect it to the water sources I've placed up here at the top. Ignore the zombie noise. There seems to be a cave somewhere inside this mountain, but that is completely separate from the rest of this for now, so we shouldn't have to worry about them. Okay, now once we let the water out of this area here, this should all start to flow down in a spiral like this, and everything connects up to create a flowing water stream that should hopefully propel our horse nice and easily through these tunnels. I will have to make sure the horse has enough headroom, and that the player has enough headroom if the player chooses to use this as a water slide of their own, but hopefully the horse is still up here somewhere and I can test this out. There we go, just chilling over here by the ice farm. Let's see if we can ride this down as a player, or at the very least, let's see if the horse can ride on its own. Let's drop in here, and we should get propelled through these passages. I can already tell that I'm going to take a little bit of suffocation damage here and there because I haven't made the headroom quite enough, but the horse seems to be enjoying itself. It's rearing up and, yeah, having a good time just merrily cruising through these passageways. It's probably going to be a little bit smoother ride for the horse if we are not on it. Should be able to fit down there nice and easily. Yep, okay, looks like it's getting caught on some of the low headroom here. There we go, let's take some of that out. Lovely. Yeah, I hadn't quite factored in the fact that the horse was going to try and sit on top of the water instead of just sinking down into it. I'm so in the habit of thinking that mobs are going to act like all of the undead mobs do and sink in water now, but they do tend to try and float on top of the surface. But the horse is taking no damage, which is good. I was a little bit worried also that the horse was potentially going to end up suffocating in a couple of blocks on the way down, but it looks like these blocks here are just blocking it and not end up pushing its head up into some of the ceiling here where it's going to take any damage. Perfect. And once it gets to the bottom of the ride here, the dismount, if you like, I guess it's just going to go through these cascading water streams until it ends up back on the surface right next to our cake staircase. So that's actually a pretty successful, enormous horse staircase, and then a nice little water delivery system to make sure the horse comes out the bottom of here nice and safely. And then we can ride again if we want to. And personally, I still think this is one of the most hilarious things I've seen in Minecraft, and we should just have to hop back in there and let the horse do its thing. Once it stops bobbing up and down in the water, at least, it should be able to make its way through there completely autonomously without me having to guide it through. And here he comes, my diamond horsey champion, making his way, slowly rotating as he comes down the water stream to the exit. Well, that's perfect. My priority here was making sure the horse didn't take any damage, made sure it didn't suffocate in any blocks or get drowned part way through by the water streams, and it looks like we can collect the horse from the bottom of the ramp here once we're done using the ice farm. And of course, this whole thing has been a little bit silly, and so if you are confused by why we've wasted our time doing this, take a moment and think that not everything in Minecraft has to be the most productive thing in the world ever. I just like the fact that you can create such a crazy looking staircase that is actually a pretty efficient means of vertical transport, and we can even back up into it and travel up this way if we want to. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. I just needed a bit of stress relief after those last couple of episodes, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like on this episode if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.